After studying this module, you shall be able to know about the field of positive psychology, learn the origins of and developments in positive psychology, and understand the nature and scope of positive psychology. Positive psychology is a branch of psychology that uses scientific understanding and effective interventions to enable people to lead a more fulfilling life rather than merely treating mental illness. Positive psychology is the scientific study of the strengths and virtues that help individuals, communities, and organizations to thrive. Let us understand the origins of positive psychology. Following the two world wars and the return of many psychologically impaired soldiers, research funding focused more on their treatment. This funding for mental disorders has been immensely successful, as at least 14 disorders can now be cured or considerably relieved according to Seligman and Csikszentmihalyi. However, being fixated on pathology led psychology to become more of a victimology. Instead of viewing humans as proactive, creative, self-determined beings, psychologists viewed humans as passive individuals subjected to external forces. American psychology after World War II took as its main mission the assessment, understanding, and treatment of mental illness. Positive psychology aims to broaden the focus of clinical psychology beyond suffering and its direct alleviation. Positive psychology has many distinguished ancestors. Since at least the time of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, the good life has been the subject of inquiry. As the field of psychology took shape over the 18th and 19th centuries, the great psychological traditions, psychoanalysis, behaviorism, cognitive psychology, humanistic psychology, and existential psychology contributed to our current understanding of the positive aspects of human experience. Basically, there are four groups of individuals who focused on the good life before the discipline of positive psychology even existed. They are as follows. Greeks. Aristotle's greatest contribution is his work on morality, virtue, and what it means to live a good life. He concluded that the highest good for all humanity was indeed eudaimonia or happiness. His work argued that pleasure may arise from engaging with activities that are virtuous. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism, created by Jeremy Bentham and carried on by John Stuart Mill, is a philosophy that argued that the right policy of the government is that which will cause the greatest good for the greatest number of people, also known as the greatest happiness principle or the principle of utility. Utilitarianism was the first field that attempted to measure happiness, creating a tool composed of 7 categories assessing the quantity of experienced happiness according to Pawelski and Gupta. Though philosophers before had assumed that happiness was not measurable, utilitarianism argued and attempted to demonstrate that it was indeed possible. Pawelski and Gupta proposed that utilitarianism influences some areas of positive psychology today, such as subjective well-being and the pleasurable life. William James is best known for his contribution to psychology through his widely read text, The Principles of Psychology. His chapter, The Emotions, is quite relevant for positive psychology. His contributions to linking physiology, psychology, and philosophy still have an impact in philosophical issues surrounding the mind and the body. Humanistic psychology emerged during the late 1950s and early 1960s as a response to the predominant psychological theories of psychoanalysis and behaviorism. The humanistic movement emphasized the study of the whole person. It believed that individuals' behavior is primarily determined by their perception of the world around them and their personal meanings. Individuals are not solely the product of their environment or their genes, and individuals are internally directed and motivated to fulfill their human potential. Humanistic psychology is the field most identified with the study and promotion of positive human experience. In a special positive psychology edition of the Journal of Humanistic Psychology, contributors trace the roots of positive psychology to the humanistic psychology movement according to Resnick et al. Humanistic psychology, however, criticizes positive psychology for its short-sightedness and leaving out vital areas of research and methods of inquiry. Furthermore, humanistic psychologists feel that to prove that it is a scientific positive psychology has stuck to quantitative inquiry. Martin Seligman, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, is the person regarded as being responsible for the creation of the positive psychology movement. After decades of experimental research on his learned helplessness theory, he was appointed president of the American Psychological Association in 1998. During his inauguration at the 107th Annual Convention of the APA in Boston, 1999, Seligman introduced his agenda to correct the roadmap of modern-day pathologically focused psychology. The message of the positive psychology movement is to remind the field of psychology to review its illness orientation. Psychology is not just the study of disease, weakness, and damage. It is also the study of strength and virtue. Treatment is not just fixing what is wrong. It is also building what is right. Psychology is not just about illness or health. It is about work, education, insight, love, growth, play, etc. In this pursuit, positive psychology tries to adopt the scientific method to understand and solve problems of human behavior in all its complexity. During the last 100 years, the question that guided the thinking of most applied psychologists was, what is wrong with people? After World War II, psychology was mainly a science of healing, and so it focused exclusively on pathology and neglected the strengths, the development of which could actually prevent mental illness. Hence, it focused on the dark side of human nature. It directed its attention to the study of mental illness and understanding the conditions of the people suffering from these illnesses. People were looked at as passive, controlled by external influences or inner conflicts. Before World War II, the main missions of psychology were curing mental illness, making the lives of people fulfilling, and identifying and nurturing talent. But over time, psychology mainly focused on the first aim and neglected the other two aims. However, in the 21st century, the main question is, what is right with people? This question addresses the main focus of positive psychology. It is now increasingly being understood that psychology is not just the study of weaknesses, it is also a study of virtues and strengths. In contrast to the medical model, which focuses on illness, positive psychology attempts to provide a balance by giving the brighter side of the picture also. In this, it gives a complete picture of human thought and behavior. Hence, the main aim of positive psychology is to bring about a change in psychology from a preoccupation with healing to bring the study of strengths to the forefront. The field of positive psychology concerns positive subjective experience, well-being, flow, joy, happiness, hope, etc. Positive psychology is the scientific study of the strengths and virtues that enable individuals and communities to thrive. The field is founded on the belief that people want to lead meaningful and fulfilling lives, to cultivate what is best within themselves, and to enhance their experiences of love, work and play. Positive psychology has three central concerns: positive emotions, positive individual traits and positive institutions. Understanding positive emotions entails the study of contentment with the past, happiness in the present and hope for the future. Understanding positive individual traits involves the study of strengths and virtues such as the capacity for love and work, courage, compassion, resilience, creativity, curiosity, integrity, self-knowledge, moderation, self-control and wisdom. Understanding positive institutions entails the study of the strengths that foster better communities such as justice, responsibility, civility, parenting, nurturance, work ethic, leadership, teamwork, purpose and tolerance. Some of the goals of positive psychology are to build a science that supports families and schools that allow children to flourish, workplaces that foster satisfaction and high productivity, and communities that encourage civic engagement. Positive psychologists aim to improve the human condition, and hence it is not enough to only help those who suffer. Rather, the majority of normal people also need guidance to lead a richer and more fulfilling life. The 5 main areas of life where positive psychology can have an impact are getting ahead at work, raising resilient kids, building solid relationships, increasing happiness, and balancing positive and negative emotions. Positive psychologists do not claim to have invented the good life or its scientific study, but the value of the overarching term positive psychology lies in its uniting of what had been scattered and disparate lines of theory and research about what makes life most worth living according to Peterson and Bach. Those following the pathology model describe some people at some particular times in their lives. They were also able to provide help to certain people with select problems, but they failed to provide a complete picture of humankind. Positive psychology, in contrast, focuses on what is good in mankind and its environment and how these assets and strengths can be inculcated. One of the major achievements of positive psychology has been its success in giving more attention to its theories and research findings. Martin Seligman has played a key role in developing interest in this area and giving the label positive psychology, a term earlier used by Maslow in 1954. Positive psychology as a science. Positive psychology has strived to ensure that it is seen as a science and not as pop psychology or pseudoscience. Webster's dictionary defines science as a system of knowledge covering the operation of general laws. In science, one utilizes the scientific method, which is defined as principles and procedures for the systematic pursuit of knowledge involving the recognition and formulation of a problem, the collection of data through observation and experiment, and the formulation and testing of hypotheses. In a primer in positive psychology, Christopher Peterson acknowledges the usefulness of tightly controlled experiments in psychology. However, he states that he uses a relaxed and inclusive conception of the scientific method, the use of evidence to evaluate theories. However, he argues that other sources such as case studies of exceptional individuals, interviews and surveys of the general population, and analysis of historical information should not be overlooked. Peterson further says that many of the findings of positive psychology appear to be common sense. For instance, positive thinking leads to a greater sense of well-being. Peterson mentions the book All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten by Fulghum in 1986. He states that the findings of positive psychology are simple things that all children learn either in school or from their parents. However, many of the findings within positive psychology are contrary to common sense. For example, many people believe that to be happy, the two things required are physical attractiveness and great wealth. Research within positive psychology reveals that this is not true. Another surprising finding in positive psychology is that most people are happy. In science, the four main pillars are accuracy, objectivity, skepticism, and open-mindedness. Positive psychology attempts to follow these principles closely. Let us now understand the three levels of positive psychology. The science of positive psychology operates on three different levels: the subjective level, the individual level, and the group level. The subjective level involves the study of positive experiences such as joy, well-being, contentment, happiness, optimism, and flow. This level is more about feeling good rather than doing good actions. At the next level, the aim is to identify the constituents of the good life and the personal qualities that are necessary for being a good person. These include studying human strengths and virtues such as future-mindedness, capacity for love, courage, perseverance, forgiveness, originality, wisdom, interpersonal skills, and giftedness. Finally, at the community level, the emphasis is on civic virtues, social responsibilities, altruism, tolerance, work ethics, positive institutions, and other factors that contribute to the development of citizenship and communities. Let us now understand the scope of positive psychology. Subject matter of positive psychology can be classified into three domains according to Seligman. The first domain, the pleasant life, concerns positive emotion about the past, present and future. Positive emotions about the past include contentment, satisfaction and serenity. Positive emotion about the present include somatic pleasures and the complex pleasures. Positive emotion about the future include optimism, hope and faith. The pleasant life is a life that maximizes positive emotions and minimizes pain and negative emotion. This captures the phenomena covered by the hedonic theories of happiness. The second domain is the engaged life, which consists of using positive individual traits including strengths of character and talents. The third domain of positive psychology is the meaningful life, which entails belonging to and serving positive institutions. Some of the major topics of interest in positive psychology include happiness, optimism, mindfulness, flow, character strengths and virtues, hope, positive thinking and resilience. There are some areas within positive psychology that have yet to be explored in detail. One such area is the intersection between culture and positive psychology. Some people have argued that positive psychology takes a markedly Western perspective in that it emphasizes individualism, progress orientation, etc. Other cultures may have different concepts of what leads to the good life and what increases happiness. Some of the important people in positive psychology are Martin Seligman, Csikszentmihalyi, Christopher Peterson, Carol Dweck, Daniel Gilbert, Kenan Sheldon, Albert Bandura and C.R. Snyder. Let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Positive psychology is the scientific study of the strengths and virtues that help individuals and communities and organizations to thrive. Positive psychology has many distinguished ancestors. Since at least the time of Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, the good life has been the subject of inquiry. Humanistic psychology is the field most identified with the study and promotion of positive human experience. Martin Seligman, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, is the person regarded as being responsible for the creation of the positive psychology movement. In contrast to the medical model, which focuses on illness, positive psychology attempts to provide a balance by giving the brighter side of the picture also. Psychology is not just the study of disease, weakness and damage. It also is the study of strength and virtue. Positive psychology has three central concerns: positive emotions, positive individual traits and positive institutions. Positive psychology strives to be science and uses the scientific method. The science of positive psychology operates on three different levels: the subjective level, the individual level and the group level. Subject matter of positive psychology can be classified into three domains: positive emotion, the engaged life and the meaningful life. Some of the major topics of interest in positive psychology include happiness, optimism, mindfulness, flow, character strengths and virtues, hope, positive thinking, resilience, etc. Some of the important people in positive psychology include Martin Seligman, Csikszentmihalyi, Christopher Peterson, Kenan Sheldon, Albert Bandura, C.R. Snyder, etc.